Our closer can't close games. Our relievers do anything but relieving. They actually do the opposite of that. Our team just is terrible. We can't get on like a good hitting streak. We can't get like we leave a bunch of runners on base every game. It's just the same thing as how we looked in May, and people were like, "Oh my God, we'll get better." No, we've never actually gotten better, and I don't think we're going to get better anytime this season.
I ain't in the mood. I ain't hit the groove. I ain't hit the mood.
What's up, everybody? It is a Wins a Win podcast. It is Friday Flick. That is what we're doing today. We're pretty excited to discuss about our film that we decided to watch. We decided to watch an ESPN 30 for 30 called 4 Days in October about the Boston Red Sox in their 2004 ALCS come from behind down 3-0 to the Yankees and eventually go on to win the World Series. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Afterwards, we are going to talk about our baseball teams. I don't know, for those of you who are not watching on YouTube or whatever, we are wearing different baseball jerseys. Charles is wearing a Tigers jersey. Sam is wearing a Cardinals jersey, and then I'm wearing an Astros jersey, but the old school version.
Boo.
Currently, only one of our teams is over 500, so there you go, just a little bit. And we're pretty excited for today. It should be a pretty good episode. I'm pretty excited to talk about it. It's pretty cool because the documentary was made in 2010, so you have some people who worked for ESPN then, but obviously do not now. And it's kind of fun to see how young looking some of the players look. Like David Ortiz in it, and he looks way younger than what he is now. So does anyone have any comments before we get into the meat of the episode today?
The meat of the episode.
We're just talking about, all the good stuff.
You're right. Well, a disclaimer before any fans get mad. Matt is actually more of a DBacks fan. The Astros are kind of hated now. They were pretty cool like 4 or 5 years ago, but before they got outed for cheating. So I just want to say that. But I'm also very excited.
I want to say, Sam, they are my second favorite team, so it's okay. And I have the old school jersey, so
that's true. I like the old school jersey a lot more than the new jersey that they have too.
But, but even then, Sam, my Diamondbacks are still worth 500, unlike your team. So
that's true. I can't say much. The Cardinals are doing like the worst in like 100 years or something ridiculous. It's crazy, but that's for a later topic.
I was gonna actually, before we jump in, sorry, you gotta let me give my little intro spill. I always bring something to the table.
Yeah.
You guys, is that a specific player that you got, Matt, in your jersey, or no?
No, mine just says 8 on the back.
Okay. And wow. Are you wearing a Goldie jersey, Sam?
Yes. Yeah, this is actually my Goldschmidt spring training jersey.
Ooh. Well, I will flip as well because I am wearing
Cabrera. Yeah.
Cabrera, yeah. That's pretty cool.
Miguel Cabrera, Miggy. So yeah, just wanted to I was curious if Matt, you had a player specific.
No, I mean I brought my Arizona t-shirt and it's a Randy Johnson one, but you guys wanted me to wear a jersey, so I figured I'll put on the Astros one.
And disclaimer, this isn't mine, this is Autumn's. So yeah.
Ouch. We did really want Matt to wear his jersey, so he's repping Astros.
Yeah. I didn't wait real quick before we jump in. We already talked about it a little bit before filming, but give us an update on the Clash life, Sam.
It's not. We talked about it a bit before we started this episode. It's not actually as bad as it used to be. The main reason why I stopped playing originally with Charles and Matt a few years back. This is like 7-8 years ago.
You never even played with us, to be honest.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure I did play a little bit with you guys, and then we all started playing Clash Royale too. I don't know. Yeah, no, I never played Hearthstone. I know that, but yeah, Clash is not too bad. I think I'm on my third day now, second day. I haven't really kept track, but it's a lot more fun than the game used to be. I'm glad that your base just doesn't get wrecked every time you have a shield now, which is really nice. You have like a cooldown. Um, it's really cool that you have like the potions now too. I've been abusing builder potions a lot, and it's been a lot of fun when your buildings can actually finish in a reasonable amount of time instead of having to wait like 3 days for it to finish. So that's cool too. There's a few other little things that they added to the game, which is fun. So not,
Well,
not too
Man,
bad.
Sam gave us a whole spill. Are we
well,
sponsored by Supercell or what?
dude, good thing Sam isn't, Town Hall 12 like us, because currently the next upgrade for my Archer Towers will be 7 days and 12 hours. So
Yeah. That's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't even know if the last time I played in like 2014, I don't even know if there was a Town Hall 12. I think Town Hall
No.
8 was pretty high, and then everything was just like 2 weeks to build. I was just like, I give up and go play something else.
Well, thank you for the update, Sam, and thank you for the detail. I was not expecting that.
You're welcome. But yeah, I was gonna say really quickly before we jump into it too, I did not realize Autumn had a Tigers jersey, so that's cool. Very cool.
It is cool.
she does rep the good old Michigan pretty well.
It is cool, yeah. It is very cool.
But since we're talking about baseball, we should get into our 30 for 30 that we decided to watch. I can go first. We decided to switch up the podcast and do a little bit of a Friday flick idea, and we decided to go for a 30 for 30. So we all watched on ESPN Plus. I don't know. Do you guys all use my account? I forget.
I did.
Okay.
I did not. I have my own now.
Oh,
you-
Oh.
Oh, okay.
man,
I've graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I'm glad, Tim, you're able to use my account, because that is what it's there for.
Yeah,
Using those a win
exactly.
is a win
Yeah,
podcast.
paying it forward. Yeah,
Yeah, it's our win is win podcast fund. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
currently, are we in debt? Potentially, but it's okay.
maybe.
It is. But I thought it was a pretty good documentary, not gonna lie. I guess the premise, for those of you who don't know, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but this was 2004 ALCS. It was versus the Yankees, and this is called the Subway Series because you can go on a subway between Boston and New York, and there have always been rivals. And this was still during the curse of the Bambino, because the Red Sox had traded Babe Ruth, probably one of the greatest baseball players ever, to the Yankees. And ever since they did that, they hadn't won a World Series like ever. And I forget if they hadn't even gone to the World Series since then. I forgot which one it is, but I do know they hadn't won. And I know the Red Sox were pretty good that year. Obviously, they're playing each other, rivals and stuff, but they're down 3-0, and they got hammered in Boston in Game 3. I think it was like 18-9 or something like that. And everyone was like, well, here it is. Like, the Yankees are going to beat them again. Like, this is how it's going to go. They ended up winning Game 4 and 5, and then that's when you have the classic picture of Curt Schilling with his bloodied sock going through that. And that's kind of fun for me because Curt Schilling used to be a pitcher for the Diamondbacks as well. So that was kind of a fun little thing to see. I've always liked Curt Schilling because Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson were like the 1-2 punch for the Diamondbacks when they won in 2001. But then obviously they win Game 6 and then win Game 7, and then they go on to play. I forget who they play in the World Series that year.
They play the Cardinals.
Oh, did they play the Cardinals?
Yeah, they actually did play the Cardinals.
Okay, so played the Cardinals that year, and then obviously they won. So that was a pretty cool little thing. I don't know. That's just a little synopsis. Give me your thoughts on what you guys watched, how it made you feel, etc., and then we can go into more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can go ahead and go next. I thought the film was very fun. I personally loved the scenes the most. It was very like action packed. I love the scenes the most, like right after game 4, 5, 6, and 7 ended, and they had the shots where they're in the Red Sox locker room, seeing all like the raw emotion that Big Poppy, Pedro Martinez, all the other big name guys that were letting out. It was awesome to see. It reminded me a lot of The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, especially after winning like the third straight finals appearances. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun to watch. I'm kind of a little sad that all three of us were probably a little bit too young to experience that in person because we were all probably 5 or 6 at the time. But yeah, unfortunately, my Cardinals did lose to them in the World Series. They were a pretty big powerhouse team, apparently, but I wasn't too sad about that because we did win in 2006. But yeah, like Matt said, the Red Sox didn't win in 100 and I believe 108 years before that 2004 season. And then after that, they just kind of went on a winning streak. They've won 2007 since 2013 and then 2018, I believe. So they've been pretty good after getting rid of that curse of the Bambino.
I mean, they've won more than the Yankees, so
they have what?
They won more recently and more than the Yankees the past 20.
You're right. Yeah, the Yankees kind of suck when they need to clutch up in terms of that. But yeah, no, you're right. Yankees have only won 2009, I'm pretty sure, and then Red Sox, yeah, they just kind of popped off after the 2004 season. So it was really fun to watch, though.
Just a quick correction, because I actually remember this from the film. So I'm wondering if you actually did watch it, Sam. I'm just kidding. Yeah. But it was 86 years with their drought.
Oh, I did have the 6 right at least.
Yeah.
Was it the Cubs that was 108?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you got them mixed up, I think.
Okay. Mix them up. Oops.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm going last, and I'm happy that you guys enjoyed it, but I got to tell you guys the truth. I don't think you guys know the truth. I honestly thought it was kind of bad. I was not a big fan of that 30 for 30. I was a little disappointed.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So, I mean, this is just obviously difference of opinions. Sam, you said how you liked a lot of the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I mean, obviously, I think some fit. I agree with you on the post-game stuff, but it felt a little just all over the place, and it seemed like B-roll type of stuff, that's like what the film was made of. There wasn't maybe I wish I could have seen. I remember one specific example was the David Ortiz walk-off. It doesn't even show like the TV broadcast, which I don't know if they were allowed to use it, but it kind of just shows a camera side view of it. It didn't actually show like a TV version of it, which I would have loved to see. So you kind of don't even really see it that well, the walk-off in game 4. And I also didn't like how there was really it showed they lost game 3, but it didn't really show anything else about the series. It just dove right into it. I wish it had a little bit more of a backstory about maybe the Red Sox championship drought, about the specific series, about the rivalry with the Yankees. It kind of just dives right into game 3, them getting blown out, and then it goes right into game 4. I wish there was more backstory leading up to it. And so I don't think it really starts you off at a good spot either, especially if you're not as big of a baseball fan. You kind of maybe don't necessarily know what's going on. And so I thought that was another big flaw. And like I said, it was just a lot of B-roll kind of stuff. I wish it flowed more. I didn't think it flowed too well. It felt a little all over the place. But I did like Kurt Schilling. I liked how they portrayed him and his effort in game 6 with the ankle. I thought that was really well documented. And I also did like some of the parts and like after they won, for example, and showing the fans. And I thought the one scene that was really cool was all the fans that were out in Boston, like right by Fenway, and it didn't look real, but there's so many, after they'd won game 7, like outside. And so I thought that was cool. But overall, I was actually not a huge fan, and I really did try and be engaged in it, but it was hard for me to like get drawn in. I never felt drawn into it. And so I would rate it, if I'm already going to give a rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 3. I wasn't very impressed at all. So
before we get into the big debate of ratings, etc., I do have to be a little bit of a devil's advocate on that one. Now, do I think it's the best 30 that is on the platform? No, I don't.
No.
But I think we do have to take into consideration when the film was made. It was made in 2010, which was 6 years after all this happened. So the memory is probably still recent in a lot of people's minds and that thing. I would also have to say that the 30 for 30s we're used to now are definitely a lot more in-depth, more documentary style, whereas the ones earlier, as in the 2010 one, obviously is not. So I do have to think if we're comparing it to today's 30 for 30s versus back then's, I think I would agree with Charles 100% that it is not as good. I also have to think too, like, I don't think ESPN had as many rights or things available to them as, like, what we do now and stuff. So I do think we do have to take in some historical context as well. However, to Charles's point, and I agree with him, for me, I mean, I'm not a big Boston. I mean, I like the Patriots, so, like, yeah, I'll root for the Red Sox, if they're on or whatever. Same thing with the Celtics, etc. But I didn't know too much about the 2004 team. Like, obviously, I knew about Pedro Martinez and Ortiz because I'm a baseball guy, so I do know about them. But it would have been nice to, like, maybe have them go through, like, their ups and downs of the season and then winning maybe their first two, like, maybe they were in the wild card, right? Maybe winning that game plus the, ALDS, and then, okay, now it's a championship series, and let's see what game 1, 2, and 3, how does that look in the locker room compared to games 4 through 7, kind of that kind of thing. I know the documentary is like about 52 minutes long. For me, I think if it would have been an hour and a half and you put in those other stuff, that extra 40 minutes of games 1 through 3 plus their season, I think it would have really tied it in all together and would have, for myself, I would have probably rated it higher out of 10 than what I am. I won't get the rating just yet because I want to hear what Sam has to say, but I do agree with the points that Charles makes, but also I do think historically and from when the film is made, we do have to put into perspective that part as well.
Oh, historically, I think it's awesome still. I'm definitely a little
Well,
biased.
I mean historically, as in, like, it was made in 2010. This happened in 2004, so it's like the 6 years. It's not
Yeah.
like if it was made in 2023 and you look back 20 years from now, I think you'd get a different documentary. You know what I'm saying, Sam?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you do have a point there with time frames, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be a little biased in my review too, just since I'm a huge baseball fan. I've always been, but yeah, I kind of agree with Charles too to his point in saying the film's a little hard to follow, and I would agree with that. Since I'm already a big baseball fan and I pretty much knew like both teams and most of the players going into it, I could follow it pretty easily. But if I weren't a big baseball fan at all, if I was just a more casual sports fan and I saw a 30 for 30 that I wanted to watch, I would have no clue what was going on. Like if I were if I were one of the 30 for 30 like film directors, I definitely would have given some context at least. People probably wouldn't have known the rivalry as much and why the series is so important for the Red Sox at least. Yeah, people would have known that they were kind of in a dire moment since they were down 3-0 in a game 4, but they probably wouldn't have known the giant World Series drought. Well, the film did tell them, but it could have done a lot better of a job in that part, but it was probably still a little bit fresh in sport and casual sports people's minds, at least. Like Matt was saying, the film was pretty much taken in place 6 years after it did happen. So it would have told a better picture probably. It probably would have been a lot more clear if the film was made like 2023, like today. Probably would have given more context. But I still thought the film was good. The pacing was a little weird at times. I can agree with that too. But for the most part, I could have followed it, and I kind of followed the vibe that the film was trying to give off too. So I thought it was better.
So Charles said his rating was 3 out of 10. What would you give it out of 10, Sam?
So out of 10, I really did enjoy the film. I'm trying to give myself in a perspective of like a more casual sports fan, not just trying to be biased. I wouldn't say it was the best 30 for 30 film. There was definitely probably a lot of like TV rights that they didn't have and like a smaller budget than the documentary films have now today. Like Charles said too, I would have liked there's a couple other scenes where I would have enjoyed a lot more like the TV like play by play of the actual play happening instead of just like a cheap like side cut of kind of predicting what happens. You just kind of have to use your mind to fill in the blanks. But I would probably give it a solid maybe like 5.5. It wasn't a bad film. It wasn't the greatest. As a casual fan, I have to take it down a little bit, but I'd watch it again. It was fun.
It's a lot lower than I thought you were going to give it, to be honest.
Oh, you thought
I was expecting a 7 or 8, and you said 5.5, and I was like,
I was
okay.
teetering 5 or 6 maybe, but I mean, if you're not a real like diehard Sox or Yankees fan, you probably rank it around that part too. It was still a fun watch though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I would say for me, I'd probably give it like a 4.
Oh,
Like,
a 4.
yeah, I would say that just because like I think there's a lot left to be desired. It's like when you're writing like a paper, and you turn it in and you like half A it, like like okay, I kind of did it, but not really. That's kind of how this felt. It felt like it was a good documentary, but like it felt weird because like you had like Bill Simmons in it a little bit, and they're like, oh yeah, 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 I felt that, and then like all of a sudden it'd cut away, and you're like, why the freak were they in there?
yeah, his
Like,
and that kind of scene with him, and I forgot the other guy's name. I know he's big in Boston. It felt odd when they
yeah,
kind of
like
go
they
to
did it
those
a couple
points.
times. They're like, oh yeah, this is how I felt,
Yeah.
and then it went going on, and I'm just like, wait, why don't we get more from them or something? I mean, granted, obviously, like Charles and I know that he has a big podcast right now, The Ringer, his podcast, thing, The Ringer, and all his different things. But like for me, it's like, man, if you're gonna do that, like I don't know, it'd be nice if Bill Simmons was like talking with those actual players. You know what I'm saying? Like sitting down, doing something like that, or like kind of what they do with the Michael Jordan thing, right? You go and talk to the player. Maybe he's the one asking the questions, like, "Okay, how did you feel?" And they go into a story of, "Okay, well, me and my dad felt like this in the stands. How did you feel on the field?" Things like that, right? Like there were interesting tidbits where he's like, "Oh yeah, my dad like took out a pill bottle," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh hey, can I get a Tic Tac?" And he's like, "Oh no, it was my heart pill." And they're like, "Okay," and they moved on, and I was just like, "We
I
should."
remember that scene.
Yeah. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah, so to me, I feel like it was a 4 out of 10. Like it definitely was getting close to passable. Is it something I would watch again? No. Like once is enough, I think. Like I think you could even just read like the Spark Notes version, like online, and like, oh yeah, that's 30 for 30, cool, and move on. Like it was a good watch, and I'm like, like if you have an extra 50 minutes and you want to learn more about the 2004 playoff thing, sure, go for it. If you do want something else, I would not suggest watching it. That'd be my opinion.
I don't even think you really learn from that series that much. I
Yeah,
don't think the
I was
documentary
gonna
really makes you
say.
learn much
I was
anyways.
gonna say you barely learned anything in
Yeah.
that film.
I was expecting you guys to maybe rate it a little higher. I wasn't sure if I was just like being too cruel on it, but I'm glad that you guys kind of had the same opinions as I did. This is how I thought of it after I watched it. This would be something I'd put on in the background and I'd be doing something else, like
Yeah, it's like
playing on my phone. I wouldn't
classic
actually
football
be watching it. I'd just be on in the background. It's a background. It's a background. That's how low I rated it, honestly.
I'm just imagining you
It's been
like
demoted to
playing
the
that in the
background.
background and playing Clash of Clans.
It's been demoted to the background
Oh
for
my
me.
god,
So
it's demoted to the G League for you.
hey, all I know is Bill Simmons, you were great in your parts, and we would love to be sponsored by the Ringer, or not sponsored, but we'd like to join your family. You can sponsor us.
We don't want to join your
Let's get hired
podcast.
by the Ringer as a podcast.
we don't want to join your podcast or anything. We want to be in the actual part of the Simmons family.
We
want to
do.
be right there with you, Bill Simmons.
Yeah, we do. Let's make our pitch.
We
Bill
should.
Simmons was great. He made like a 10 out of 10, honestly.
Yeah. No, I would watch that film again though. It was fun. It definitely left a lot more like to be desired. I would probably watch it again in the background, kind of like what Charles is saying. But especially when you compare it to like modern 30 for 30 films, like the real documentaries, those are super well made, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish that this 30 for 30 would have been a bit more put together better. But I mean, at the time in 2010, I don't think ESPN really cared as much. And I was really hyped up to find out that was actually a real like documentary. I was let down a little bit watching it. It was still a lot of fun to watch. And I mean, I got excited as like a baseball fan, but yeah, they could have done a better job.
I think there's definitely better ones on ESPN, and I really want to watch those. Like, I know there was one that we were thinking of watching called Long Gone Summer between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. It was in the 98 season when they were just belting home runs left and right, you know?
Oh, that one was a good watch.
I know you said you liked it, Sam. Like, I think that one they go through a little bit more, not like game by game, but like, you know, kind of here's what's going on here, here's what's going on here, you know, kind of like that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that would have been cool to see like more like the Red Sox version of, okay, in 2004, what was their goal? How did they see themselves at the beginning? What were some of the ruts, high points, and then get into it? Like I'm saying, like if this thing was longer than 52 minutes, like if it was like an hour and a half, hour 45, I think it could have been a really good 30 for 30.
Yeah, agreed.
And for me, also, I really like historical aspects of stuff like this. So tying back into the drought, because I remember, for example, Matt, one of our rare book clubs, which we might be doing that again, just shout out. When we read the Mannings, I loved the Archie Manning part and about him. I know that this is different because that was a person, this is a franchise, right? But I loved his backstory and how he came to be and how he grew up, you know. That always draws me in. So if something like that was added to that documentary, it would have drawn me in a lot better from the start. And so that's why, that, like you said, those extra minutes, I think really could have helped. And like I said, it really didn't feel like 53 minutes worth of content either. It felt a lot shorter than that, or however long it was. It felt like 25 minutes of content, honestly. I'm not sure how it stretched out to 53 minutes, if I'm being completely honest. So I was just not very impressed. That's you know that. That's just my
yeah.
last
Like
thoughts.
I think you could have gone through game 4 through 7 in like 25 minutes, and you would have gotten the same effect and result as the whole 50 something it was. Like that's my honest opinion. Not trying to be harsh, because like, I mean, I think it's like how it is with like school, right? Like you're not doing works of art in 3rd grade, 4th grade, but when you go into like 12th grade or college, you do a lot better on reports and stuff. I think that's exactly like how this is for ESPN. Like 30 for 30s were really new at that time. And now they've done stuff for about, 15 years. And they are way good now. Like everyone is super excited for that stuff to come out, So I think there's also that aspect too to keep in mind. But yeah, like I said, if you're trying to watch a documentary, I would say stay away from this one and choose a different one.
I wanted to look up the ratings, because technically it is considered like a movie or whatever. And so IMDb has it as a 7.4 out of 10, and DVD Netflix is a 4.2 out of 5. And I can't believe that, to be honest. That shocks me.
That is pretty high.
That kind of shocks me. I don't know. Maybe I should be a movie critic.
Maybe it's just pointing towards a bunch of like Bostonians and New Yorkers. They enjoyed it.
Yeah. Who did that? Was it people from Boston? We might want to look into that. Who gave it those ratings?
There might be some bias towards
there
it.
might be a little bias, kind of like the Patrick Mahomes State Farm.
Maybe I was a little biased against my rating towards it because they beat the Cardinals in the World Series that year.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Wow, Sam.
I didn't even know.
Wow, Sam. And think they beat the Cardinals. You think I'd rate it like a 7 because of that, but no, I'm an honest man.
Right.
I'm an
Yeah.
honest man.
You probably, I don't want to give spoilers, but we might watch the Ravens 30 for 30 in the future too. You're probably gonna give that like a 10 just because they're previewing the Ravens.
No, a 12.
It's that homegrown bias.
Yeah, 12.
Well, okay, I'll
I
take
mean, that one though, I mean, it was done within the past year. I believe it was last year,
It
right?
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one should be pretty dang good.
Have
You
you
know what
not
I'm
watched it yet, Matt?
No, I haven't watched it. I was
You watched
watching
it, right, Sam?
Yeah, I watched it
Well,
when it came out, I'm pretty sure.
the point of our Friday flicks was to try and get things that all of us haven't watched,
Yeah,
you know?
I know. I think I'm getting a little bit too ahead of myself, but yeah, no. ESPN is. I think the point of that whole topic was ESPN's done a lot better job spitting out new 30 for 30 films. Like there hasn't been a recent one that I haven't enjoyed watching. So
And I like that. That's like the positive, optimistic way to look at it. And I think
yeah,
that's a very good way to look at it. And so
yeah,
Matt bringing up
exactly.
that point, I think was very, very much needed. So
like I definitely think the next one we do, because we do want to keep the Friday flicks going. We pick a newer one like the Baltimore one or something like that, and then we can almost compare and contrast and like, oh yeah, they they
I
did
know
this better.
I know there's one coming out soon that we're all pretty excited to watch.
let's not say, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no
Let's not
spoilers.
say.
But
And
Yeah.
real quick, Friday Flick isn't just going to be 30 for 30s. There's going
No.
to be like normal non-sports, I guess I said normal, non-sports TV type of shows, you know.
mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just going to be sports. So just want to keep that out there. But there's going to obviously be sports like 30 for 30s in it. So yeah.
Yeah. But since we talked about the baseball documentary version as in the past, let's talk about real baseball right now, boys. Let's talk about the current MLB and our teams. Right now, I know I'm wearing an Astros jersey, but TBH, like, they're my second favorite team. I follow them, but not really. I'm definitely more of an NL person. So I know for myself, it's the Diamondbacks. Charles, I think you also follow them too, correct?
It's kind of this is the point where I could sit back in my chair and let you two
That's
go
true.
at it at
That's
this
true.
point. But
So right now,
kind of, yeah.
we are going to talk more about the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals because that's who Sam's team is, and maybe just some players we like. But Sam, the floor is yours to give a little rant of how you believe your Cardinals are doing, and we will sit back, we'll grab our popcorn.
Yeah, I was about to.
Cook.
Let me grab my
Let you
popcorn real
cook,
quick.
bro.
Grab your
Let me
popcorn.
grab my
We'll
popcorn
let
real
you.
quick.
We're gonna let Sam cookie cook, if you know what I'm saying.
Let him cook. Before I pop off though, Charles, is that a little stolen valor though? You want to take a step back on this, yet you're wearing a Tigers jersey.
I'm just doing it for the culture,
For the cultures that you said?
Hey, for the brand.
for the brand.
He's going to Kingston.
Hey, this is a good
Awesome.
fit too, to be honest. So I feel good in
It
this
was
fit.
pretty,
So
it was
like,
pretty
Bro,
snap.
you got your ice, you got your chain out, bro, and you got
Hey.
your jersey. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
you look the part.
in the words of one of our old friends, he said this in a different context, but look good, podcast good.
There you go.
Who said that?
I'll tell you off camera.
What good podcast good. Okay. That's
His original saying was "look good, test good,"
oh,
and he was in our earth science class, Matt. You probably know who it is
That's
now.
actually
But
pretty
I
funny.
don't want to say names on here without them.
That's
So
fair. That's
I'll
fair.
tell you off camera, Sam. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's just funny thinking about it. I can probably take a wild guess who that is, but that's besides the point. So, baseball. Finally, I've been breathing to talk about baseball for a few weeks now on the podcast, and now we're finally getting to it. I like to think around this time period, right before the All-Star break happens, this is kind of the dog days of the MLB season. My Cardinals, we are garbage right now. I'll just be honest with you. We're 13 games under 500. I believe this is the first really bad stretch that we've had. The last losing season that we've had was back in 2007, all the way back in 2007. I'm pretty sure the last time we had a stretch this bad, though, with how we're playing, was the 1916 season. I think I did a little bit of research on that. So we're getting on the levels of being historically bad. The only bright side of the Cardinals group that's going on right now, it was that Jordan Walker got called back from the minor leagues again. I believe he's on a 16 game hit streak, which is really impressive for a rookie. I think he kind of gets he doesn't get a lot of love just because there are a few other rookies in the league that are absolutely tearing it up right now. For example, one really good rookie, he's going to be one of the candidates for NL Rookie of the Year if he keeps this up. No shame to Corbin Carroll, he's amazing too. But Ellie De La Cruz, he's absolutely the hot ticket guy as for right now. A few days ago, from when we are recording this podcast, he actually hit for the cycle in his 15th game. I believe that's the second shortest stint any player has had for when they hit their first cycle. So it was pretty amazing. The Reds are doing really good too. It's a lot of fun to watch when teams that are doing as well lately, they're doing really good. Same with the Pirates too. It's fun to watch both those teams play. But yeah, that's kind of my side of the NL Central. I follow basically all the NL Central teams a lot more closely just because the Cardinals are hanging out there. I know Matt's got a pretty good perspective on how the NL West is doing too with his D-backs. They're actually first place in the NL West right now, which is pretty impressive. I will say that. But yeah, other notes I have to say, I'm glad the Orioles are still rocking it. The Twins are doing pretty solid too. They're still under 500, but they're winning their division, which is, I mean, what really matters. The Rangers are absolutely blasting right now too. It's pretty fun to watch with how hot their team is right now, offensive wise too. It's amazing. Same with the Marlins. They're 13 games over 500. But yeah, hopefully they take the division crown when it all ends. But yeah, I think I've ranted for long enough, so I will take it back over to Matt. Let him give his thoughts.
I do have to agree with Sam. The Cardinals are booty, and honestly, I'm okay with it because growing up in Missouri, they've always been good. Granted, I was able to watch the 2013 World Series whenever the Cardinals and Red Sox played. I was pretty happy because I went to Game 5, and that's when Boston won. And I was rooting for Boston because I'm not a Cardinals fan at all. However, it is sad because they have Paul Goldschmidt on the team, which he used to be on the Diamondbacks. We traded him in the 2019 season, I believe, is when it was, 2020. One of the teams. I think it was 2019. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
And so, I do like it whenever he does well. And obviously, he won the NL MVP last year, which I think he could have won probably a couple other times as well. He was just on the Diamondbacks and we sucked. But this year, I was optimistic about our team. I was like, okay, well, we have Zach Gallen, who's a proven ace. Corbin Carroll has a lot of hype, so that could be good. We had a lot of young pieces. But halfway through the season, I didn't think that we'd be in first, especially over the Dodgers and Padres. I know right now the Padres aren't looking very well, but they do have a lot of studs. I mean, they have Manny Machado, Tatis, Xander Bogaerts, and a couple other people, like Jake Cronenworth, who's really good. So they're pretty good. Dodgers, of course, are always good. And then the Giants have actually done really well lately. And then you have the Diamondbacks. So, I mean, honestly, in the NL, that's probably the hardest division to win. And I think Sam would probably agree with that statement. But the NL West has always been the hardest to win, probably the last couple years, probably. And just the most competitive with the teams. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then Corbin Carroll is right now, I believe, second or third in NL MVP voting. And currently the odds-on favorite to win the NL Rookie of the Year. I know today he did exit early from the game with like right shoulder soreness. So hopefully that's something that's like maybe he like landed awkwardly or did something, where it's just like a little tender, Hopefully it's nothing too bad, like, oh, he has a torn rotator cuff or something, because that would be killer for our team and chances because he's a really big part of our lineup. but they've been really good. The two worst divisions, in my opinion, this year have been the Central divisions. The AL Central is complete garbage, where the Tigers are in, and then the NL Central has also been like hot dog water, I would have to say. I mean, I think the Cardinals are like what, like only like 10 games back or something like that. I think.
They're 9 games back, actually.
Yeah, they're 9 games back and what, like 15 games under 500 or something like that. I
Yeah,
think,
it's
which is pretty wild. And then in the NL Central or AL Central, you have two teams under 500. And then you have Detroit, who is 10 games under 500 and is 4 games back of the lead. So that's pretty garbage. Every other division, they've had like some really good races. The East, all of them are above 500 except for Boston, but they're like right at 500. In the West, you have LA, Houston, and Texas. The Rangers are really doing really well. East, you have Atlanta, Miami, Philadelphia. And in the West, you have Arizona, San Francisco, and the Dodgers, who are doing really well. So, still a lot of baseball to be played. A lot of cool stuff. But other than that, like, I don't know. It's been a really fun time. Can't really complain too much. I'm just excited to see Diamondbacks, hopefully, if anything, make the playoffs, even as a wild card team. I mean, I would love to win the division, but seeing them play in October would be nice because I haven't seen them play in September, a meaningful game in September or October for probably like about 4 or 5 years now. So,
yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch. I don't really have any hopes that the Cardinals will pick it up and even be a wild card team. I think most of the fan base, including myself, he wants the Cardinals to sell during trade deadline. I really hope we don't get rid of Paul Goldschmidt too, though. He is an absolute gem for the team. But yeah, definitely things do need to change for the Cardinals at least. But it'll be a lot of fun to watch. I'm glad a lot of smaller teams like the Diamondbacks and the Reds, Pirates, even the Rangers, they're doing so well right now. Hopefully they can keep it up into the playoffs too.
Now it's time for my defense of the Tigers. Just kidding. I have no idea.
He has no defense.
Okay, Sam, why do you think, more specifically, why it's not working with the Cardinals? What is your take on that?
Well, specifically, team chemistry is still really bad, I think. I think amends were made, at least with Wilson Contreras. No one really hates him on the team anymore, but our pitching just sucks. It's never really improved. Our main guy, Jordan Montgomery, I believe he just went to the IL, actually. So that's pretty terrible, too. Our closer can't close games. Our relievers do anything but relieving. They actually do the opposite of that. Our team just is terrible. We can't get on like a good hitting streak. We can't get we leave a bunch of runners on base every game. It's just the same thing as how we looked in May, and people were like, "Oh my God, we'll get better." No, we've never actually gotten better, and I don't think we're going to get better anytime this season. So hopefully we do sell and get some good draft picks so we can.
So the question is, for the trade deadline, are Cardinals going to be buyers or sellers?
I really hope that they're going to be sellers. I would kind of have to look into it a little bit more on who they would actually sell, because obviously I don't want them to sell someone like Arenado or Goldschmidt or even Jack Flaherty. He's been kind of booty this whole season, but I think he's still got some potential in him. I mean, I don't know if I would be too against of trading someone like Nolan Gorman. He's been mainly our second baseman. He's really good this season.
What about your guy Lars Nootbaar?
Lars Nootbaar, for the right price, maybe. I love all the media attention that he's getting. He seems like a really fun personality too, but I don't know if he's really the greatest baseball player. He was really good last season at least, but that was his rookie season with the MLB. But yeah, I don't know. We have a lot of really good players on paper on our team. Things are just coming together, and I am kind of losing hope for the Cardinals this season. It's rare, like what Matt was saying. The Cardinals are usually consistently good year after year, but yeah, this has really been the fluke season for us. hopefully things do turn around for the future, but I don't really have any high hopes that we'll make the playoffs.
I think I'm a little shocked. I personally still think the Cardinals can turn it around. I'm a little surprised that you're kind of already willing to give up, because we've seen the Cardinals turn it around even just for a couple 4 or 5 years ago. They've had stretches where they completely turn it around. And I told you I wouldn't be shocked if they go on a streak where they win 18 of 20 and they're first in the NL Central. You said that's not going to happen, but I don't know. I
It is
personally see
true.
the Cardinals still having a run because they always do. I don't know why.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
I
they'll
agree.
blow it up this time. I don't see it. I think they're gonna make a run. I don't
Well,
know. I just have a feeling.
I agree with what you're saying. The Cardinals have pulled a bunch of really ridiculous luck during the tail ends of seasons to squeak into the playoffs, but it's just not fun to watch. Like the past couple of years, at least, the Cardinals have made the wild card round and they just get bounced out of it. It's not fun to like celebrate your team making the playoffs, but then immediately getting their butts kicked, and you have to do it all over again. I strictly want the Cardinals to sell just so we don't get in that scenario again in the future. I want to see them make a good run in the playoffs again. And I'm not including like 2019, where they shouldn't have won the division series and they just totally got swept by the Nationals in the championship series. That was not a good playoff run to me.
So you don't. So basically, what I'm getting is you don't think this team can contend. You think this team is not good enough.
Well, I mean, I always like to be hopeful because it's my Cardinals. I want to ride or die with them all the time. I don't want to just completely count them out, but I think I would be a little bit more satisfied to see them completely blowing it up than them just getting on a random hot streak, making the playoffs, and then losing the wild card to like the Giants. We suck to the Giants for no reason. We always lose to them.
What I think it's not the offense that's the problem for the Cardinals. I believe they have like top 10 runs, I think, scored. It's their pitching and bullpen that is really atrocious. And I think if you can get like one or two good arms for both, that like will help steady something, I think that'll help you guys out a lot. Like the Diamondbacks by no means are our starters very good, but I do know when Zach Gallen pitches and Merrill Kelly pitches, because they're almost two guaranteed wins. So I'm like, okay, at least I know we're gonna go 2-3 every 5 games, at least. And then yesterday we had a really good start by Zach Davies. Then our bullpen low key choked it. I mean, not even low key, high key. They gave up 3 runs in the 9th inning. I was like, holy shiz, what are we doing? But like I know for us, if we just get one bullpen guy, like I think that would really help the Diamondbacks. But for you guys, I mean, your offense is fine too. I say if things don't turn around by mid-July, that's when you hit the panic mode or reset mode. That's what I'm thinking. I think by July, I would say by July 20, if the Cardinals aren't at least in the 3rd or 4th spot in the NL Central, they have to blow it up.
I think that's fair.
Is there a specific answer to that date, July 20th?
No, I just think it's like kind of mid-end July, so that's why I decided for it.
I mean, usually whenever you put a timetable like that, it's just around the All-Star break. And I mean, the All-Star break is about around July 20th. So, I mean, you're not wrong.
Oh, I just pulled that one out of my butt.
It's like July 18th, I think.
I actually looked it up. It's July 11th.
Oh.
So
12th.
But boys, I'm pretty dang excited for that.
I know it's
Derby, not going to lie. I love watching the home run derby.
You love watching the home run derby?
That's my favorite part. Yeah.
I saw that Vladdy's going to play in it. Vladdy Jr. That's about all I know.
So also the Cardinals are 12th in runs. Just to off your point, Matt.
Fact check.
Real quick. All right, we'll jump over a little bit more to the D-backs, Matt. I feel like kind of the moderator here in a way, which is kind of nice. Do you think this Diamondbacks team is a true World Series contender? And how would you like to see them kind of build off of already what they've built? Because as you said, this was a shock. So what are the next steps if maybe you don't think they're a contender this year? What would you like to see them do?
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, obviously they're a World Series contender because they're in like their leading division right now. realistically, are they World Series championship team? I think no. Not because I don't want. I mean, I would love for them to like win. Like if they did, hey, great. There's a reason why I don't gamble. It's because then I'd be like, oh my gosh, whatever. I think the Braves are a better team than them. And I do think when the Dodgers are healthy, I think they're better. However, I think we have a lot of good young pieces that sets us up for success later. And I think if we get another starting pitcher, I would love to have another starting pitcher like Zach Gallen. I think everyone would. But if we could get like a number 2 or number 3 to pair with Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen, and then you get like a bullpen arm who is really like that steadying hand, I think this team goes from fringe like NLCS contender to like a legit World Series contender because you have Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll and Christian Walker, who are your 3 good hitters. I mean, Corbin Carroll is almost an NL MVP candidate right now. And so, I mean, it's like, okay, what more would you really want, right? I mean, not a lot of teams have MVP candidates on their team, So I think they're just 2 pitchers away, one in the bullpen, one in the starting, away from really being a legit World Series contender.
Would you like to see that happen at the trade deadline then?
For me, I would like to see one of them happening. If we can get a bullpen pitcher and not give up too much, great. If we can get a starting pitcher and not give too much, great. But to go all in this, but at the end of the day, like let's say the Diamondbacks are like, for some reason by July 11th, if they're like 4 or 5 games, ahead of the division, maybe you say, this is the year we really want to win the NOS, and you go for it. And I wouldn't be upset because we haven't really been good since probably 2017. That was the last time we made the playoffs. So it's been 6 years and stuff. 2 years ago we lost 101 games or 111 or something like that. So being 2 years removed from that, like I'll take it.
I'm glad to see Ketel Marte still swinging it because he was the TAP Sports Baseball legend for me. Throwback to that game like 4 years ago, and he was like my best hitter, I swear. So yeah, that makes me happy. What a difference of
opinions
difference of just emotions. We have a team that is
or
a guy whose team, and I guess kind of my team too a little bit, but I not like Matt, a guy who's got a team doing a lot better than expected, feeling really good about it, and then another guy with a team who is not doing as good as expected and wants it to be blown up and is sick of watching them blow leads or can't reserve pitch or whatever you were saying. Can't close.
They've blown so many saves this year. It's ridiculous. Get rid of the whole pitching staff. Adam Wainwright. I have no words.
No words.
Go back to your farmland and hang out there. I think it's time to go.
I think it's time to go on this podcast, right? For this episode.
So
we are a little over time, but it was a good one though. It was a good one.
Episode
20.
20.
20.
Yes,
20.
So
Sam, who's with the outro?
Oh, with the outro again. I was with the outro last episode.
All right, then Charles, just with the outro.
Okay, I think you did intro and outro last episode, and you volunteered to do the outro. So
you guys made me the workhorse last episode. Yeah,
well,
I just said you volunteered.
Sam,
I remember last episode too. I was like, I am the host for the podcast today, and you guys are so upset about that for no reason.
Well, Sam, you got to earn your shekels somehow. We have to pay your salary. Come on,
I do, man. I do. I'm telling you, I do. I bring the energy to the podcast every day.
As you just yawned like 30 seconds ago.
Hey, man. Work was tough today.
Wow, work was tough. You don't think Charles had a tough work day?
I was just gonna say talking about the Cardinals was probably tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say I also had to talk about the Cardinals and the Red Sox that beat us twice in the World Series. So
sorry, it just didn't line up for you, did it? No. Yeah, this was episode 20 of A Win is a Win. we hope you guys enjoy. This was a baseball themed episode, and I love how we all rocked some jerseys. I thought that was a nice touch to it. So yeah, super fun. I don't think we have planned what's coming up next. I think we got to plan that. So, but there's a lot of good, I know there's a lot of good NBA stuff, and there's still topics from a couple weeks ago that we haven't gotten to that we might get to. So we've got a lot brewing, and we still have other things that aren't sports that we have talked about. Maybe a few drafts coming up. I know we're going to have Movie Monday / Friday Flick coming up. And we also might have video game segments coming up. Just a lot of fun stuff that
Some
we're
good
excited
soccer
about.
stuff coming up
Yeah,
too.
soccer.
Potentially.
We've got a lot of stuff that we're excited about. And so a win is a win. You guys know the DBacks know what a win is. Cardinals, not so much this year. Sorry to say that. Make sure to follow us, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram. And we hope you guys enjoyed H Double, Maddie B, Sam Cookie, episode 20. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Have a fun 4th of July, although we should have an episode out before the 4th still. But yeah, just want to say a happy, if you have a long weekend, have a good, happy 4th of July weekend. So we should see you guys Monday.
Peace.